Hey y'all, what's up? My name is Avery and today I'm here to bring y'all my September wrap up. So September was very busy and eventful for me. It was my birthday month. I had my birthday at the beginning of September. I turned 20. It's kind of weird saying that I'm 20. Like last night, I was having a conversation with my mom because she was trying to teach my aunt how to use Instagram. She asked me how I knew what I was doing. And I was like, oh, just us teenagers know a lot about Instagram. And then I was like, wait, I'm not a teenager anymore. So that's how I'm feeling about it. I'm perfectly happy being a 20-year-old. It's just taking a little bit time to get used to it, I guess. Anyways, as y'all would have seen by my birthday book haul, I got a lot of books in the month of September. I only read physical books this month, which is weird because for almost every month for almost a year, I've at least read at least one ebook, so that was a change. A few of them were from the book haul that I did, so birthday books got me to read more physically. So the first book that I read in September is Bring Me Their Hearts by Sarah Wolf. I loved this book. I will link a video down below for the review that I did. I love that video a lot, so please go show it some love if you want to know more about this. But basically, this is all about a woman named Zira, and she lives in this fantasy land. It's a fantasy YA novel. When she was younger, she was on the brink of death, but a witch saved her life, but the only way to save her life was to turn her into a heartless, which means that the witch takes her heart, puts it in a jar, and the witch has essentially control over whoever's heart they put in the jar. So Zira has fallen victim to that. When she was 16, she was turned into a heartless, and so she's been a heartless for 3 years. So she is essentially a 19-year-old put in a 16-year-old body, stuck in a 16-year-old's body. She is presented with this task to basically go undercover in disguise to the court and seduce or persuade the prince in a way to get his heart physically get his heart to turn him into a heartless so that the witches can control the king. If they have the prince's heart, they can control the king in a sense because they are on the brink of war and they don't want to lose. So this is just her story and like maybe realizing that she's possibly falling for this guy. And so I've been struggling for a while with YA fantasy. It's just, it hasn't hit me in the right spot. I haven't really loved it as much as like I used to. I used to be obsessed with it, and then I think Throne of Glass and Akatar came and I was like, well, nothing's gonna be this good. Well, this was good. This was so good. 5 out of 5 stars. Loved it so much. There was great writing style. I loved the characters. They were like so relatable and well developed. Even if it is in a fantasy setting, she was like so relatable. So relatable, even though she was a heartless and essentially didn't have a heart. I loved her a lot. And let me just tell you, I was not expecting that ending and I loved it so much. Please go pick up this book. I have not heard like anybody talk about it at all. The second book that I read in September was Until It Fades by K.A. Tucker. I believe I got this book in the book outlet box that I decided to buy myself for my birthday in the birthday book haul video. And I bought it because I really loved K.A. Tucker's book that I read last year, 5 Ways to Fall. I think I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it, so I was really excited for this one. Basically, this is all about a woman named Catherine who has a troubled past and is just essentially trying to get by, work, take care of her 5-year-old daughter, that kind of stuff, trying to not stay in the spotlight of town because she's had a troubled past and has had scandals galore about her until she saves the life of a really famous hockey star, and basically she is put into the limelight immediately. So it's like the repercussions with that and like the hockey player wanting to get to know the woman who saved his life. It kind of becomes a romance kind of thing. And it was just really cutesy. I was kind of expecting a little more just because I loved 5 Ways to Fall so much. This one didn't really meet that level of love from me. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. I just think it's a cutesy romance and there wasn't really that much depth in it like there was in 5 Ways to Fall. I don't know, I really love my romances with like at least like something major happening when it didn't really happen in this one. But it was cute nonetheless, and I do recommend it if you are interested. The third book that I read was My Plain Jane by the Lady Janies, Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This is a retelling of Jane Eyre, and I loved it so much. Ooh, ooh, ooh. If y'all did not see the tag video that I posted on Tuesday, I talked about how this book was bittersweet, but overall left me with a really good ending. It was so good, but like there was, yes, one point in this novel where I was like, this is gonna be so bad because someone isn't who I thought he was, and like I love him in the original, so like it can't be good because it's not him. I know that maybe sounded like gibberish, but like if you read the book you understand. There's just something happens in this book where I'm like, no, it's gonna be so bad, but then it's not bad at all, and I loved it so much. 5 out of 5 stars for me. I forgot to say what it was about. It's a Jane Eyre retelling, but like Charlotte Bronte, the author of Jane Eyre, is put in this book, and like there are young adult characters in their teens, and basically Jane can see ghosts, and so ghosts are like involved in this book, and it's really cool. The 4th book that I read in September was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I had to read this book for my British literature class this semester, and I ended up really enjoying it. I didn't think that I would, just because I don't really know if I like the darkness of the Gothic period like this, and I ended up really enjoying it. I really enjoyed the audiobook on Audible, like, so much. Obviously, like, people in their college classes, like, go to, like, Spark Notes and stuff like that. I did that for a lot of the other readings that we had to do, but this was, like, the only physical book we had to read for our exam. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I've never read Frankenstein before. It'll just add another book on my read shelf, and I'll say that I've read Frankenstein. I just heard so many people saying, like, in class, overhearing, because I don't have friends and I don't actually know how to talk to people in class, but I overheard people talking about how, like, oh, they just read the Spark Notes and everything, but I don't think they get the whole feeling of this book, and it was, like, so cool. This book was so cool. It's so different from the movie that we watched, or the movie that we're told about. Like, it's just so interesting. Like, there's no Lady Frankenstein, or like, there's no quote of, it's alive, it's alive. There's nothing like that. Like, there's none of that, like, Frankenstein stuff that you think about when you think of Frankenstein. The monster doesn't groan or like is scared of fire or whatever. Like, he actually speaks coherent sentences. So it was so interesting to read this book. The 5th book that I read was Till Death by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I got this again in my, I believe, book outlet box for my birthday book haul. I picked this one up because I loved The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. It's up on my shelf at the end right there, and I love that book so much. One of my favorites of all time. I was expecting so much out of this. It kind of let me down a lot because I was expecting so much, because this is, I believe, her most recent book, and it was not at level with this one over here. Some things that I have to say about it. So this is basically about a girl who suffered at the hands of a serial killer and was the only person who escaped the serial killer, and she like led to his downfall kind of thing. This takes place 10 years later when she comes back to the town that she lived in when she was taken by this man. And basically it's all about her story trying to cope with living there again, and it's her reconnecting with a cop who was like dating her before she was taken. Like, while she was taken, like, they were seeing each other, and he like wants to like reconnect again and make up for lost time, and like promise to never ever let her be taken until threats start popping up again, and essentially puts her in danger. So he's trying to protect her with that. And it's just like their story together and everything. Some problems that I had with this, there's just the language in this book just made me cringe a little bit. It's just me personally, I don't like the word babe when like a significant other's like, oh babe, like come here, oh babe, like go to the grocery store with me. Like, I don't know, I don't like someone saying babe, like, oh babe. I don't like that word. That's just me personally. That's why I didn't like this book a lot, because this man kept calling her babe over and over and over again, and I don't like that word. That's just me personally though. Also, this was kind of really unrealistic. All of the stuff that happens in this book, I believe, happens in the span of like 1 week. And like, that's not realistic with all this crap going on in this book. Like, that's not realistic, I don't think. Like, how much shit happened in one day? Like, that's not that's not realistic. And I kind of saw the ending coming. I will say something I did like was I really liked the relationship she had with her mother, because I don't see a lot of books where women have a really good relationship with their mother, and I have a really good relationship with my mom. She's my best friend, so I loved seeing that, because there are people out there like me who have a mother-daughter bond that's really strong. I thought it was an okay book. It did not meet my expectations whatsoever, so I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And lastly, the 6th and final book that I read in September is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I actually stole this from my sister back when I took a trip back home, and I just took it from her room, so don't tell her. Like, she occasionally reads books, but like she maybe has like 20 books or something, and she's read a lot of them, but it's like she maybe reads like 1 or 2 books throughout the year, so I don't think she would miss it, and she hasn't read it yet herself, so she's read a few chapters. I see like page marked on where she left off. But anyway, I needed it because I don't really have any friends in college, and there's not really any clubs that suit me besides the one that I'm in. I'm in a women's ministry club, but other than that, I'm not really in anything else. And so I was walking by the library at my school, and I saw like a poster saying like, oh, we're reading The Hate You Give for our book club at the end of the month. And I'm like, we have a book club? Like, I've been here for over a year and no one has told me this. Even before I came here, like, I researched book club at my school and nothing popped up whatsoever. And I was like, how did I not know about this? I looked on their Twitter page, and yeah, they were reading this book by like September 27th. So I was like, I need to read that. That's like a week away though. So I downloaded the audiobook, but I downloaded it after I already took the book from my sister's bookshelf. Sorry, Logan. I will bring it back to you. I didn't actually physically read it. I listened to the audiobook and it was so good. Long story short, I ended up not finishing it in time for the book club, and I ended up not even going because I forgot that I had a really big exam the next day. And by the way, I think I got like an A on it, so I was glad that I stayed in and studied all that long time. But anyways, if y'all didn't know, this is all about our main character, Star, who witnesses one of her friends being shot by a white cop. And this all centers around her story trying to get justice for him and tell his story. And basically it's all centered around the Black Lives Matter movement, and I was so influenced by this book. Ooh. I loved it a lot. But my main thing that I loved about this book was, of course, I really liked the standing up for justice and believing what you believe in, and like standing up for what you believe in. That was really great. But like the main thing that I loved was just Star and her family. I love that family. Oh my gosh, they're like cohesiveness. They bicker all the time, even though it's like loving bickering, and I love the mom and the dad so much. There's that one scene where like the dad like agrees to something that the wife has been wanting for so long, and like all 4 of them are like there's 5 of them. All 5 of them are like sitting in the kitchen. The wife just like walks him to the bedroom to say like, thank you, if you know what I'm getting at. And everyone was like, gross, ew, they still do that? And I was like, that is so funny. I was loving that. But anyway, I loved her family so much, and I love this book so much. It made me think about it a lot, for sure. And I can't wait for the movie to come out in either a week or a couple weeks. I'm not sure. So here you have it. These are all 6 books that I read in September. Yeah, they're all physical books, so I can hold all of them. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, because I'd love to start up a conversation with you about them. And also let me know if I have influenced you anyway to read any of these books, because I want to talk to you about that too, for sure. Anyways, thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all soon with a new video. Bye!